Europe, the second smallest continent on Earth, has some fascinating and incredible geography. It is home to the world's smallest country, a mosquito-free country, and as well as a linguistic powerhouse, among other geographical facts that will blow your mind. Want to know more about the geography of this amazing continent? Then let's take a deep dive as we take you on a journey across Europe. Tiny Titan. Europe is the second smallest continent on Earth. This, however, doesn't stop it from the considerable feat of being the third most populous continent. It houses over 740 million people, with Russia being the most populated country with over 144 million people. This makes the continent home to roughly 10% of the world's population. Small, but mighty. The world's smallest country. I'm sure you didn't know that Europe is home to the world's smallest country. The Vatican City is an independent city-state in the heart of Rome. The city spans just 0.9 square miles and has a population of fewer than 1,000 people. It is not just the smallest state in Europe, but it is also the smallest state in the world. I don't think we ever think of the size of a country, but some countries are really small, but diversity is always found within. Home to more than 200 languages. When we talk about diversity, Europe is one of the most diverse continents. Europe is a culturally and linguistically diverse country. There are about 24 official languages in Europe. However, it is home to over 200 distinct languages, which reflects the diverse culture on the continent. Some of these languages are isolated. That is, they aren't related to any other languages in the world. English, French, German, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian and Turkish are among the most popular languages in Europe. Mosquito-free Iceland. Iceland's unstable and cold climate makes it hard for mosquitoes to inhabit and reproduce, making the country mosquito-free. However, due to climate change, Iceland may experience mosquitoes in the future. Cradle of democracy. Greece, a European country, has been credited as the birthplace of modern democracy. The ancient Greek city of Athens has been said to be the cradle of democracy. One of the most popular beliefs is that Europe is all snowy. This is not entirely true. One of the scariest facts about Europe is that it has active volcanoes that erupt now and then. Mount Etna, Mount Stromboli and Vesuvius, all in Italy, are active volcanoes that erupt almost every year. Lake Ladoga is the largest freshwater lake in Europe and the 14th largest in the world. It covers roughly 17,600 square kilometers in total surface area and is nearly 219 kilometers long. It's so large that you could fit a country like Luxembourg in it. It has its place in the history of Russia and Europe for the role it played during the Second World War. The Midnight Sun. This natural wonder occurs every year in northern Norway for about 76 days between May and July. The sun doesn't set for these 76 days, which allows you to enjoy daylight at midnight. The Tabernas Desert, located in Spain's Andalusia, is the only desert in Europe. Due to its fantastic landscape, it has served as a filming site for many Western films. I'm sure we all saw Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, right? That and other blockbuster movies were shot in the Taberna Desert, the shortest international land border. The border between Europe and Africa is the world's shortest land border. It is just 85 meters long and is between Spain in Europe and Morocco in North Africa. Morocco seems to be the connector of Europe to Africa. If there ever will be a bridge to connect both countries, it will be through Morocco. Before we dive into the other 10 facts, which of the above mentioned was the most surprising to you? Well, coming back to next one, it seems unbelievable given how developed Europe is. However, 5 countries in Europe do not have airports. Could you imagine a country with not one single airport? How do people travel? These 5 countries are Andorra, Vatican City, San Marino, Monaco, and Liechtenstein. The reasons are either their geographical terrain or the size of the state. Monaco, in its entirety, is just 10% of JFK Airport at just 510 acres. The most visited city in Europe. I know you said Paris. The City of Love attracts many visitors who come to see the Eiffel Tower and other tourist attractions. However, London has taken the crown as the most visited city in Europe. 19.5 million people visited London pre-pandemic, making it the 3rd most visited city in the world. The River Thames, the Star of London, is definitely a tourist attraction as the river flows through the heart of London. Speaking of rivers, do you know there is a country with no rivers in Europe? I know that's a weird one because I wondered how they get water. Malta is a country with not one single river within its border. There is not one single freshwater body around it. The Maltans depend on rainwater and desalination. I can't imagine having to go through the process of desalinating water in the 1980s. The most populated city. One would think that London, being the most visited city, would be the most populated. However, Istanbul, Turkey, is the most populated and vibrant city in Europe. With over 15 million people, the city is never dull. It is always buzzing with life. It's important to note that Istanbul sits on the border between Europe and Asia, so a portion of its population resides in the Asian continent. And that might change its spot, the wonders of Lake Baikal. This is such a super cool one and should be on your must-visit sites for your next vacation trips. Lake Baikal is known as the deepest lake in Europe, and it doesn't end there. It is the deepest in the world. Lake Baikal is so clear that you can see down for almost 30 meters. Isn't that amazing? For the swimmers, let's talk rivers. The Volga River is the longest in Europe. It is situated in Russia. The river stretches over 3,500 kilometers. Bulgaria is the oldest country in Europe, and it has never changed its name since its conception. That is much history. Kosovo, on the other hand, is the youngest country in Europe. Kosovo was ruled as a sovereign nation in 2010. The city on water. Just as the name states, this is a city built entirely on water. I am sure you have heard and seen pictures of people moving around via canoes and boats in this city. Venice in Italy. That sounds like a perfect name for a rom-com. The entire town is built on water, with canals instead of streets. Imagine not having to worry about traffic jams or hiked-up Uber prices. It must be excellent. Gondolas are the taxis there. Europe's oldest capital. You have heard of this city for as long as you have lived, except you have never watched any European gods movies or never went to school. Europe's oldest capital city is Athens, Greece. Athens is often called the cradle of Western civilization, and it has existed for over 3,000 years. So many ideas that shaped the modern world, like democracy, philosophy, and theatre, were born here. The largest castle in the globe, Malbork Castle, is a brick Gothic castle complex located in the town of Malbork, Poland. It spans over 52 acres, the largest castle in Europe and the world. It is also known as the largest brick structure ever built by human hands. And there you have it, 20 incredible geography facts about Europe. Let us know which of these you found surprising. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.